But in this country, we cannot criminalize political differences. Political differences. We do not abuse the law enforcement and intelligence power to target our political opponents. When they spy on me, who ever heard of this? They spied on me. They spied on our campaign. Who would think that's possible? The single greatest political hoax in the history of our country. And guess what? We won. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We love to win. They tried to take something great away from people that came from all over. I always say they came from the valleys. They came from the mountains. They came out of the damn rivers. I don't know what you were doing in the river. But they came from the cities. They came, and they didn't even know these people existed. They're hardworking. They're successful. They're the smartest people. They're the toughest people. They're the most loyal people. They are. They're the smartest. Remember this about yourself. You know, I always hear the elite. The elite. Well, I always said, and I said it. I said it here my last night. I always say, they say the elite. They're the elite. I'm not. Well, I have a better education than them. I'm smarter than them. I went to the best schools. They didn't. Much more beautiful house. Much more beautiful apartment. Much more beautiful everything. And I'm president, and they're not, right? And then they say, the elite, the elite. They're not elite. You're the elite. We're the elite. I get a kick, I hear, so-and-so, the elite. Then you see this guy, like this little schlepper. This is elite. I'm not elite. This is elite. We're the elite. You're smarter. You're sharper. You're more loyal. You're a hell of a lot tougher. A hell of a lot tougher. So we can't have two different standards of justice in our country. One where the left-wing radical establishment can get away with anything they want. But you know, I have to tell you, I said it last night, we have some great, great friends in the media too. You look at Rush and Sean and Laura and Steve and Ainsley and Tucker and Janine. Janine is back. Janine is back. Going to be back on Saturday night. Janine, right? And even Greg likes me now. Greg. He started a little slow, but he likes Trump. Now, but we have a lot of great support. We really do. We have a lot of great support. Far more than you think. But where we really have the support are the voters that pull that handle or whatever the hell they're pulling. They're pulling it for us. So, the Russia hoax proves more than ever that we need to finish exactly what we came here to do. Drain the swamp. The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous partisan investigations, or whether they will apologize to the American people and join us to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, bring down the cost of health care and prescription drugs, which we're doing incredibly, help us fix our broken trade deals, which are coming along really well. We have our team right now in China. They just arrived. China, we've gone up, they've gone down, but we want them to be healthy. We want them to be happy and healthy. China, And by the way, we are building that wall as you. We are building that wall. We are building that wall.
Joining us now from Grand Rapids is Donald Trump Jr. By the way, we want to give a shout out to WXMI Fox 17 for helping us get this shot up. Don, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. You've been surrounded since the moment you walked in that building today. But you and your family have been through over 2 years now of never-ending attack, speculation, collusion, jail, all of it. And yet, no collusion, no obstruction in the end. And I want to get first your reaction, your general reaction.
Well, listen, it's great. But most importantly, while it's been an incredible vindication for me, for my father, for our entire family, it's really been a great vindication for all those incredible, hardworking Americans, the deplorables, who stuck with us through all of the nonsense, through all of the lies sold to us by CNN, MSNBC, you know, the tinfoil hat brigade that is Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell and those clowns. You know, it's really nice. And, Sean, when you look at what my father's accomplished in the last 2 years, when you look at his winning track record, despite the largest witch hunt, the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people, imagine what he can do now with that cloud off of his back. I think it's going to be a big deal, and I think America's going to win because of it.
You talk about tinfoil hat conspiracies. That's for TV and, yeah, Adam Schiff. You know, but now you got, let's start all over again. You got 6 to 8 congressional committees. They want to drag everybody back. By the way, a lot of people can't afford attorneys, and their lives and the stress and the pressure of, being grilled on the same issue now. This will be the 5th investigation.
Well, Sean, I've done 27 hours and change myself on a 20-minute meeting. For example, that's about 3 times more than Hillary Clinton spent on Benghazi while Secretary of State. I was a civilian on a campaign. That just goes to show you the double standard. But I was blessed because I could afford lawyers to do this. Not everyone could spend 7 figures defending themselves. And that's all this has been. This has been a way for the left and their media lackeys to try to drive people into ground, try to drive those supporters into our ground. And that's why this has been such a great vindication. And it's so important for us. You know, again, my father's track record speaks for itself, but he's going to do even more now that he has that monkey off his back.
You know, when you talk about all that everyone goes through, and here's the other big story, is there was Russia collusion. You know, I have an ensemble cast on this show, and for 2 straight years, with real evidence, we have pointed out a rigged investigation into Hillary, lying and committing fraud on a FISA court. We have pointed out again and again and again that people knew from the beginning that this was unverified, but then they used it to spy on the campaign, deny the constitutional rights of Carter Page. What do you think needs to be done to ensure, as your father said on this program last night, this never happens to another president?
Well, listen, they have to get to the bottom of it. No one wants to move on more than I do. I'd love to see bipartisanship. I'd love to see the Democrats get on board and maybe work on infrastructure, maybe work for the American people for a change, rather than just trying to take out someone who's done an incredible job. If the Democrats had actual real policies that they could run on and win on, you know, maybe they should do that, but they don't. So maybe they should get on board with these winning policies for America and do that. But you've had the Comeys of the world, the Strzoks, the McCabe's, John Brennan, the former head of the CIA, going on there saying, well, we're aware of this collusion. It's been going on for years. Oh, guess what? Oh, I got bad information. I'm sorry. I've been saying it and screaming it like a lunatic for 2 years. And all of a sudden, oh, you got bad information. Let's move on. We have to get to the bottom of it, Sean, because this can't happen again. This has been a stain on our republic. It's a blight on democracy and our Constitution, and it can't be allowed to happen again to either side. This is, a partisan issue. This is something, it should never happen again. It's the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people, and it was done by Hillary Clinton, the DNC, and 93% of the mainstream media. The media has done irreparable damage to themselves and their reputation. The 2 or 3 people, even the 2 or 3 people on the left that tried to report it honestly and said, maybe we're getting a little in over our skis, they got killed, they got lambasted for the last few years. They're the only ones that have been vindicated. It's going to take a long time to heal, and the only way we're going to heal is if we know how this farce actually started.
Well, I think when you listen, if you deleted 33,000 emails, cleaned your hard drive in the process of all of this, and busted up your devices or had an aide bust them up with hammers and remove SIM cards, and then if you committed a fraud before a FISA court, omit telling that the opposition party paid for this dossier. It was never verified. The author of the dossier doesn't stand by it, but you present it to a court not once but 4 times. The bulk of information, the Grassley-Graham memo, was the lying Hillary Russian dossier. Russian, of all things.
Correct. Only Hillary Clinton and maybe Jussie Smollett could get away with that kind of farce, Sean.
Yeah. You mentioned something about your father's success. Record low unemployment. He was talking about it tonight for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment. Nearly, we're going on 5.5 million new jobs now. Economic growth we haven't seen in over a decade. And I have never, not one time, watched on any of these other so-called news networks any reporting on this great story that has taken millions off of food stamps and out of poverty and created a ladder to success.
Well, Sean, it doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't work. The business guy who left a billionaire lifestyle to do this for the American people, that's not a story the Democrats want. They need a Joe Biden. They need a swamp creature in there to keep perpetuating the nonsense, to keep perpetuating their failed policies, and frankly, to take their failed policies even further by now implement vast, aspects of socialism into that policy. It's failed 1,000 times, but they're going to get it right this time, Sean.
I've known your dad and your family for a lot of years. Your dad over 2 decades, and I know that this has to wear on you. What was the toughest moment for you?
The reality is, as a tried and true American, being called a traitor every day, having, people chime in on social media, well, your kids are going to enjoy seeing you behind bars. I mean, day in and day out, it's pretty brutal. Now, I know it's nonsense because I was actually there, but it still gets to you. It still wears on you, especially when you take sort of your patriotism as seriously as I do. And so, that was rough, even though it's nonsense. Unfortunately, with life, you still have to deal with nonsense. But now that that's over, other than, a few of the lunatics, on the left, it's pretty exciting, and we can go back to winning.
The sad thing is they'll never admit they're wrong. The sad thing is, I remember, for example, Don Jr.
Not even a little bit.
Call.
There's no culpability because on their side, Sean, you don't need to because there's no accountability. You don't need accountability to keep doing what you do. They just do it because it's part of the narrative and everyone's in on it. My father, he was talking about the deep state back in 2016, and most people are like, I don't know if that's real. If the last 2 years has shown us anything, is that is very real and very alive, and we are combating it hard, and he's going to keep doing that.
We've had a great ensemble here, and we've been right the whole time, and the media's been wrong the whole time, and I know they're never going to stop. They're just going to move on to the next series of lies and misinformation, but I don't, as you say, think they ever get their trust back again. All right, here's a question a lot of people want to know. You've been out on the stump a lot lately. A lot of people, big crowds you're drawing. Do you ever think about it? Maybe one day you want to run?
Look, right now, I'll never rule anything out. I do enjoy it. I like being in the fight. I like being in the mix. I like seeing, the difference it's making to real working class families all over the country, Sean. And, I get that I'm, the son of a billionaire from New York City, but I think everyone knows, and anyone who's seen me on the campaign trail knows, I have friends in flyover country. I've spent time with them over the years, hunting, fishing, competitive shooting, all of those things. I actually spend much more time here than I do at the rubber chicken charity dinner circuit in New York City. These are my people. I get it. So, watching it make a difference to them, watching them, recapture their American dream, that American dream that's been exported to foreign countries, most of whom hate our guts for the last few decades. That's a huge deal for me, and I see what my father's doing, and I'm just damn proud as an American to see those results, and I'm going to keep fighting for him. I won't rule it out for myself, but first things first, we're going to let him finish up strong.
All right, Don Jr., thank you for being with us. And, yeah, it took an FBI investigation, 2 congressional investigations, now the Mueller report, and these insane tinfoil hat people want to continue. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Sean. Great speaking to you.